Liquid dosage forms are nothing but those preparations which are intended for the treatment purpose in the liquid state. Either they are applied externally on the skin, or sometimes they are injected, or sometimes they are taken orally. So most probably we are preparing the oral liquid dosage forms for the children, for the geriatric patients. Geriatric patient means old peoples. So as per the pharmaceutics, they are essentially pharmaceuticals products in the form which involves mixture of drug and excipients. Liquid form of dose of the drugs used as drug or the medication intended for the administration or the consumption. Generally, liquid dosage forms are prepared by dissolving the active ingredients or the dissolving the actual drug along with the excipients in the suitable vehicle or the solvent. Then that vehicle means carrier or the diluent, we can say, like water can be utilized, or like alcohol also can be utilized, or ether also can be utilized. Sometimes drug may not soluble in your vehicle. Your active constituents may not be soluble in vehicle or in water. So we can prepare the suspension of that drug also. Suspension means what? We are just suspending the drug into the vehicle. So here your drug will be visible and your vehicle will be visible. Means two phase you can see in that dosage form. Then sometimes we can incorporate your drug into the vehicle into the liquid state. For example, suppose your drug is available in the oil phase or in liquid state but oily. Then we can prepare the emulsion of that substance as a dosage form. So here oil plus water, your drug may be oil, or sometimes we can incorporate the your solid drug into the oil and water phase. So this will called as a emulsion. So these are the, you can say, three type of dosage forms we can prepare, either by dissolving your drug into the liquid like water, alcohol, or sometimes we can suspend your drug into the water or oil, or we can incorporate in the mixture of oil and water. So this is called as the liquid dosage form. Now classification of liquid dosage forms. Liquid dosage forms are broadly classified into the two phases. One is the biphasic and another is the monophasic. Now monophasic liquid dosage form means what? Monophasic liquid dosage form means the dosage form will have the only single phase. For example, suppose you are dissolving the sugar into the water, then what we will see, you will find the only one phase. One phase means your all the ingredients are dissolved completely into the one vehicle or water. So here water will act as a excipient as well as a vehicle. So your drug will be acting as a active constituent or the pure material. Then biophasic means what? Biophasic means when you are adding your drug into the vehicle, then you will find that your drug is not having the solubility, or your drug may not totally mix with that vehicle. So you will find that there are the two phases. So here simply we can say biophasic. For example, suppose you have added the insoluble drug into the water, then what you will see, your drug will be settled at the bottom and your vehicle as a water we will see. So here two phase, one is the water phase or aqueous phase, then another one is your drug. So drug will be called as a one phase and your water will called as a another phase. So by this way you will see there are the two phase. Suppose sometimes you are incorporating your drug or you are incorporating oil into the water, then you will find that oil and water both are not miscible with each other. So there will be the two phases. So there is also called as the biphasic type of preparation. So oil as well as water. So this is called as the biphasic type of preparation. So monophasic and biphasic, there are the two type of preparations are there. So in monophasic, There are the again classification. Monophasic preparations can be classified as oral monophasic preparation or external monophasic preparation, as well as parenteral preparations and special type of preparation. Now, oral type of monophasic preparation means what? Simply those preparations through the we are administrating through the your oral or orally we are taking them. So here oral preparations or orally those dosage form you are taking, they are called as the oral type of preparation. So monophasic preparations which are administered orally, examples are solutions, then draughts, then drops, then linctuses, then syrups and elixir. So these are the examples of orally administered monophasic preparations. Then external use. External use means what? Those monophasic preparations or the dosage forms we are applied on the skin or topically, or we are administering into the any body cavity. Body cavity means like nose, ear, as well as your any kind of other cavity. So they are not reaches to the stomach, just they are applied on the skin or applied into the any body cavities like ear, nose, okay, or eye. So that's why they are called as the external type of preparations. Now after that, another example is the parenteral type of preparation. Into the parenteral preparations, we are having the examples of injectables. So injectables means what? Those preparations we are administering into the blood vessels or into the muscles or under the skin. So they are all are called as a parenteral type of preparation. Parenteral means what? Per oral. In another way we can say. Per oral means other than oral route or directly into the your bloodstream. So they are called as the parenteral. The best example is your injections or your saline solutions. They are called as the infusions. Okay. Then another preparation of monophasic dosage form is the special type of monophasic preparations. So this special type of monophasic preparations are nothing but the one example is the your oral cavity purpose used monophasic preparations. Now oral cavity means what? Only for the oral treatment purpose, those preparations we are using, they are called as the special type of oral cavity preparations. See, when we are administrating them into the oral cavity, they will not be swallowed. They are just utilized to clean the oral cavity and then throughout. Like your gargles are there, mouth washes are there. So they are called as the special type of monophasic preparations. Then another example is the those monophasic preparations which are used in the oral cavity other than oral cavity like your ear drop, eye drop. Okay. So they are called as the special type of preparations. So these monophasic preparations are having the these kind of classification like monophasic preparations for oral use, monophasic preparations for external use, monophasic preparations for parenteral use, and monophasic preparations for special type of use. Now monophasic means there is only one phase is exist or complete solution preparation we can say. All the ingredients are completely dissolved in the vehicle. Example we can say, suppose you are dissolving the sugar into the water, then you will find that only single phase is existed. Whatever the drug or a material you are dissolving, that will be in the ionic state, that will be completely dissolved. You cannot differentiate that this there is any drug. So by the naked eye you will see the only one phase. So they are called as the monophasic type of preparation. Now another type of liquid preparation is the biophasic. In the biophasic, there are the two types, liquid in liquid dosage form and solid in liquid dosage form. Now, liquid in liquid means what? When we are mixing two liquids with each other, but there are the two phases are existing like oil plus water. So they are called as the liquid in liquid biophasic type of preparation. So liquid in liquid preparation are having the two types, that is orally utilized liquid in liquid preparation and externally utilized liquid in liquid preparation. Now, oral purpose means what? When we are administering through the oral cavity and it is reaches to the stomach, then they are called as the oral type of liquid in liquid preparation. The example of liquid in liquid preparation is emulsion, and emulsion is prepared by utilizing oil plus water. Then another example of liquid in liquid preparation is the external type of preparation. External type of preparation means which are applied only on the skin or topical. Then example is the liniment. So here also oil and water is utilized to prepare the such type of external liquid and liquid preparation, and they are applied on the skin like for the topical purpose. So liniments are the example of such kind of liquid in liquid preparation which are applied externally. Then another category of biophysic preparation is the solid in liquid. Now solid in liquid means when we are administering any insoluble drug or when we are dispersing water insoluble drug into the water. It means that drug will not be solubilized into the water. Then you can see by the naked eye that drug is dispersed and it is settled at the bottom and your liquid will be there. For example, suppose you have added precipitate chalk into the water, then it will not be dissolved into the water. But you will find that there are the two phases. One is the drug and another one is the vehicle or water. So such a type of preparation are called as solid in liquid. Examples of such preparations are parenteral preparations, oral suspension, and external lotion. Generally, solid in liquid preparations are commonly called as the suspensions because suspension means here we are suspending your drug, insoluble drug into the water vehicle or the any type of other vehicle like oil also. But that drug should not be soluble into that phase or vehicle. So examples are parenteral. So parenteral means which are administered into the bloodstream through the vein or through the skin. It means injectables are also examples of solid in liquid preparation or the biophysic preparations, or your injections are also example of this biophysic category. Then oral suspension. Oral suspension means those biophysic preparations are like solid in liquid preparations which are administered orally and they are reaches to the your stomach. They are called as the oral suspension or the oral type of liquid in solid preparation. Then external preparations or the lotion. So those solid in liquid preparations which we are applying on the skin, they are called as a external type of solid in liquid preparations. Example is the lotion. So this is the uh, classification of liquid dosage form. Again, I would like to tell you that liquid preparations are broadly classified into the monophasic and biophasic. Monophasic means single phase, biophasic means two phases. Then monophasics are having the again four class, that is oral purpose, external purpose, parenteral and special. In the biophasic liquid dosage forms, there are again two types, liquid in liquid and solid in liquid. Then liquid in liquid are utilized for the oral purpose as well as the external purpose. Then solid in liquid are also utilized for the oral purpose, external purpose as well as the parenteral purpose. So this is the classification of your liquid dosage form. Now advantages of liquid dosage forms. Now see here, when we are preparing the any kind of dosage forms, so it will have the advantages as well as the disadvantages. But in comparison with the pure solid dosage forms, liquid dosage forms will have the different advantages as well as semi-solid dosage form also are there. So compared to the solid dosage forms, semi-solid dosage form, your liquid dosage form will also having the different type of advantages. So every dosage forms are having their own type of advantages. Now we'll see what are the typical advantages of liquid dosage forms compared to the solid dosage form as well as the semi-solid dosage form. Most probably we are comparing liquid dosage form with the solid dosage form. Now first advantage of liquid dosage form is that they are very easy to swallow or they are very easy for the administration. For example, suppose you are thinking about the child's or the old aged patient. They are called as the geriatric patient, means aged patient more than 60 years. Suppose any tablet or the capsule you are giving to the child, then what you will see, you will find that the child is having the little bit difficulty to swallow the tablets. So in that case, we will prefer the liquid dosage forms because your tablet is quite difficult to swallow by that child, as well as tablet and capsule also is quite difficult to swallow by the old aged patient. So by considering the age of the patient, we can say that your liquid dosage forms are quite easy to swallow because they are liquid and they are flowable one. So that's why they are very easily swallowable or administered by the such kind of childs as well as the geriatric patient. So compared to the solid dosage forms, so liquid dosage forms are very easy to swallow or to administer by the oral cavity. Then this kind of liquid dosage forms are mostly suitable for childs or the infants, okay, children's and geriatric patients as well as the mentally disturbed patients. So here this is the advantage of your liquid dosage forms, that they are very good or very suitable for infants, means just born childs, as well as children's from up to the 6-year-old children. Then these are very much easiest for the administration to the geriatric patient, means old aged patients and mentally disturbed patients. Then your liquid dosage forms are having the more bioavailability. Now, what is mean by firstly the bioavailability? Bioavailability means what? When we are administering any dosage form, then that dosage form will dissolve into the gastric fluid, into your stomach. Then after that, your drug will dissolve into the gastric fluid. Then that from after dissolution of the drug, then absorption of the drug in the ionic form will start. Then the drug will be absorbed into the blood. Then after that, it will reach to the your site of action where it is required. It means your drug has to reach at the site of action. Then viability means what? The speed or the rate and the amount at which your drug is reaches at the site of action, that is called as bioavailability. It means where the your drug is required inside the body, where it is getting available very easily or fast and at maximum concentration. Suppose your drug is required at the brain, and suppose at the brain your drug is reaching very fast and with the larger concentration, then that drug will be have the very good viability or the more viability. So the viability is very much important factor in your pharmaceutical field. When your drug is reaches at the site of action at larger quantity and very fast, then you will get the very fast effect. Suppose your drug is not reaches at the site of action very fast, and it is reaches at the site of action but very small concentration it reaches, it means you will not get the desired effect of that drug. So it is desirable that, or it is expected that every drug should reach at the site of action very fast and with the large concentration, then you will get fast result. So in case of solid dosage form and liquid dosage form, if we'll compare the viability, then your liquid dosage form means your drug is already soluble. For example, solutions are there. Solution means you are dissolving already your drug into the vehicle, and you are suppose administering that solution into the stomach. Then your drug is already in soluble state or ionic state. So it will be easily absorbed by your wall of stomach, and then it is ready to move from your stomach to the your affected part or at the site of action. It means your liquid dosage forms is not required to go for the dissolution because it is already dissolved. So time will be saved here. If you will consider your solid dosage form like tablet, then suppose you are taking the tablet has to dissolve into the your stomach, then your drug will get available into the ionic state, and then it will be absorbed into the bloodstream, and then it will reach to your site of action. Suppose if you will thinking about the time requirement for the absorption, then your drug first of all your drug is in solid state. First of all it has to dissolve, then after dissolution it will be ready for the absorption, then it will reach to the site of action. So here your solid dosage forms are requiring time to reach at the site of action. That's why they are having the less viability, because they are taking too much time to reach at the site of action compared to the liquid dosage form. So we can say that your liquid dosage forms are having the more viability than the solid dosage forms. Then another advantage of your liquid dosage form is that they have faster absorption than the solid dosage forms. See, same thing is there. Your liquid dosage forms are already solubilized into the preparation. So when they are reaches into the stomach, no need to get dissolved. But your solid dosage form required to be dissolved first, and then absorption will start. So here absorption of your liquid dosage form will start as soon as they are reaches at the stomach. It means the faster absorption, more viability or quicker action. So in the same manner, we can say the liquid dosage form are having the faster absorption than the solid dosage form. Then another thing is that liquid dosage form can be easily verified or varied as per the your requirement of the patient. It means dose of the liquid dosage form can be changed as per the your requirement. But in the solid dosage form, it is quite difficult to vary the dose, because every dose is fixed. Suppose you want only 300 mg of the drug or the dose, and suppose your tablet is having the 600 mg dose, then at that time you have to break down that tablet into the two parts. But again, suppose your tablet is 600 mg and you require only the 200 mg dose, depending on the situation. Okay, so in that case you cannot break your tablet to obtain the only 200 dosage form or the 200 dose. So 200 mg dose cannot be prepared from that tablet. So either you have to take the half tablet or full tablet. But in case of liquid dosage form, you are having the measuring cylinder along with your bottle, then you can measure the your required dose, because liquids can be, you can say, adjusted, or we can adjust its quantity as per your requirements. It means adjustment of dose is possible in the liquid dosage forms, and it is not possible into the solid dosage forms very easily. Then another thing, or the another advantage of liquid dosage form is that they are more palatable. Also bitter drugs or obnoxious drugs can be easily given by the your liquid dosage forms. Suppose any drug is too much bitter, then when we are administering through the solid dosage form like tablet, then it is quite difficult to administer such kind of bitter drug, because when we are keeping your tablet in your mouth, as soon as you will get the feelings that this is very much bitter. So most of time childs will throw out that dose, they will not administer that dose. Sometimes nausea may be developed while taking the tablet. But in case of the liquid dosage forms, when the drug is too much bitter, so suppose you have dissolved that drug into the any vehicle, and after that you can add the any kind of suitable flavoring agent or any kind of sweetening agent. So with the help of sweetening agent as well as flavoring agent, we can try to administer the such kind of bitter drug also in the form of liquid dosage forms, because we can minimize the bitterness of that drug, or we can mask the taste of that bitter drug with the help of liquid dosage forms. By administering sweetening agent like sugar, we can administer the flavoring agent also. So by this way we can make palatable that drug in the form of liquid dosage form. Then the another or the biggest advantage of liquid dosage form is that they are best choice for the children as well as the old age person compared to the solid dosage forms. So these are the advantages of your liquid dosage form. Now disadvantages. Now disadvantages means what? Why? What are their demerits of the liquid dosage forms? Now we have seen the advantages. Now disadvantages. So disadvantage is that there is the less dose accuracy in the liquid dosage forms. Here, dose means particular amount of your preparation. But in case of liquid dosage form, when we are measuring the dose, so many times patient is not measuring it very accurate. Another thing is that when we are comparing with the tablet, then tablet is already in the complete dose. So it is prepared in the unit dose. So total dose is fixed with that complete 1 unit of that tablet or capsule. So there is no need of the adjustment of the dose, or there is no any problem occur in the dose. Always accurate dose is given in the form of tablet and capsule. But in case of liquid dosage form, it is quite difficult to measure the accurate dose. Sometimes some extra dose may be go, or sometimes less amount of drug may be administered while measurement of your dose. It is quite harder to measure the exact dose of that preparation in the your measuring cylinder. As well as when we are administering your liquid dosage form, then what will happen? Some amount of that preparation will stick to your measurement cylinder. So here wastage of that dosage form also occur. Then another disadvantage of liquid dosage form is that your liquid dosage forms required special storage conditions. Your liquid dosage forms may be, we can say, deteriorated in the adverse type of environmental conditions. Suppose you have the any liquid dosage form bottle, then you have to keep it either into the refrigerator, or we have to keep it into the cold condition, or the in the, you can say, we have to avoid the excess heat also. So in simple way we can say your liquid dosage forms have to store into the appropriate conditions as per the required. Otherwise, their distortion or their deterioration may be possible. Then another disadvantage of liquid dosage form is that they are less stable than your solid dosage forms. Now stability means what? When we are preparing the dosage form, after a particular day, its stability may be decreased. Sometimes your liquid dosage forms may have the attack of the microorganism, so that microorganism may cause any problem, and the pharmacological activity of your drug may be changed. So by this way we can say they can become unstable. So that's why compared to the solid dosage forms, liquid dosage forms are less stable, but the solid dosage forms are having the more stability or the more life. Then in liquid dosage forms, we are dissolving your drug, okay, and we are preparing the solutions. So in this way we can say that your drug is present in the ionic state. So when your drug is in ionic state, some excipients we are adding along with your drug, they will be into the ionic state, because completely all excipients we are dissolving. So sometimes chemical reaction may be possible, or it is very easy to react with each other when any substance is present into the ionic state. But when we are thinking about the tablet, into the tablet we are adding the drug as well as other excipients also, but all are into the solid state. So that's why the possibility of reaction with each other is very less than in the liquid state. So that's why your all the ingredients in the liquid stage can be react with each other very fast. So chances of reaction or incompatibility are too much into the liquid state. So by this way we can say that your liquid preparations are less stable as chemically also and microbiologically also. It means microbes attacks may be possible in liquid state because moisture is present, as well as chemically also instability can be occur to the liquid dosage forms. This regarding the Liquid dosage forms are very bulky, so it requires the big containers. So when we are taking the big containers, it means that it is the, we can say, costly for the transportation compared to the your tablets and capsule. We can say that liquid dosage forms require the large space for the carrying purpose, for the storage purpose also. So by this way, there is the cost of product can be increased. Suppose we are thinking about the 10 tablets, then 10 tablets can be having the 10 doses. So this 10 doses can be kept in the strip, and that strip can be easily kept in your pocket also. But if you will consider the 10 doses of liquid dosage form means it requires the bottle. Okay. So bottle is having the weight. So by this way we can say it is becoming heavy one. So it is quite inconvenient while carrying or the transportation, as well as it is convenient inconvenient in the store also. So you require the more space for the storage purpose also. You require the more cost for the transportation also. So by this way, liquid dosage forms are bulky and they are inconvenient to carry, they are inconvenient to transport, as well as they are inconvenient to store. So this is the disadvantages of your liquid dosage form. Then another point of view of disadvantage is that liquid dosage form are incompatible. Most of time we are administrating the liquid, uh, your drug along with the excipients into the vehicle by dissolving all the ingredients. So I have already told you that chemically it may be possible that your drug may react with each other. So so many times your many excipients may react with your drug also, or your drug may not suitable with your excipient also. So there is the maximum chances that incompatibility may be occur while mixing or when we are preparing the dosage form. Then another disadvantage of liquid dosage form is that easy to loss by the breakage of the container. Suppose you have uh, purchased any bottle of liquid dosage form and it is made up of glass, and by mistakenly it falls from your hand, then it will get breakdown. Once the bottle is breakdown means your whole preparation is waste. So if you are comparing same criteria with your solid dosage form, suppose your strip of tablet is fall down from your hand, then also there will not be any type of any kind of problem will occur, or there will not be any kind of loss. But in case of liquid dosage forms, once the bottle is crack or break, then your whole liquid will not be utilized, or it become waste. So it is quite, we can say, risky to handle the such kind of liquid dosage forms. Then we have to take the always attention while measuring the dose, as well as while handling the liquid dosage form. Always you have to measure the dose of your liquid dosage form. You cannot, you can say, very simply or easily measure the dose or administer the dose as like as tablet or capsule. In capsule or tablets, just you have to take the tablet and administer very easily. But in this case, in liquid dosage form, you have to measure the your required dose cautiously, and then you have to administer it. So these are the quite disadvantages of your liquid dosage forms. So generally, we can say that your liquid dosage forms are having the, we can say, less dose accuracy. Then it required the special storage conditions. They are less stable. There might be chances of incompatibility. Then while transportation or for the storage condition, they are inconvenient, as well as cost of production is high compared to the solid dosage forms, because we require the more containers or the bigger containers we required. So because of that, transportation cost get increased, storage cost get increased, as well as breakage possibility is there when we are handling your dose. Then another thing is that uh, always we have to measure the dose of your liquid very cautiously, otherwise inaccurate dose can be possible. So these are the disadvantages of liquid dosage form. Then administration of the liquid dosage forms. Liquid dosage forms can be administered either topically, means externally, like lotions, suspension, as well as solutions, eye drops, ear drop. Then orally we can take it like oral solution or oral liquid, oral emulsion. Then we can administer parenterally also, like your intramuscular injection, intravenous administration, as well as subcutaneous injection. So these are the possible three ways by which we can administer your liquid dosage form to the patient. This is the difference between the three type of your liquid dosage form. Basically, your liquid dosage forms are either solution, either suspension, either emulsion. Now, solution means what? Solution means when you are taking the drug or the solute and solvent, and your solute is completely soluble and it is forming the single phase, then it is called as the solution. So here, middle figure is called as a solution. Or suppose you are dissolving your sodium chloride or the sugar into the water, and the final resultant preparation will called as a solution because your sugar will be completely dissolved. Then take to the left side, that is the emulsion. Now what is the emulsion? When we are mixing oil and water, then in this case your oil and water are not miscible with each other. So there will be the two phases exist. One phase is called as the oil phase, another phase is called as the water phase. So because of the existence of the two phase, it is called as the biophasic type of preparation. And we are adding the two liquids. We are taking the two liquids, means both phases are liquid. One phase is oil phase and another phase is water phase. So that's why it is called as emulsion. Emulsion is nothing but the biophasic preparation in which we are preparing it by dispersing one oil phase into the another water phase, or one liquid phase into the another liquid phase. So many times you will find that droplets will appear into the one phase. So the droplets may be of oil or may be of water. Suppose you have taken the small quantity of oil, then it will prepare droplets. And if you are taking the water as a large amount, then it will be remain as a external phase. So your milk is the example of emulsion. In the emulsion, in milk, oil droplets are appeared and maximum concentration of water is there. So oil plus water, when we are mixing, then it is forming the emulsion. Then take the another right figure, that is called as the suspension. Suspension means when we are dispersing solid, insoluble solid into the vehicle. For example, suppose you have taken the any insoluble drug like paracetamol is there, and you are added into the water, then your paracetamol or the drug will not get solubilized into the water. It will remain as it is. So that phase is called as the solid phase. Then your remaining phase, that is called as the vehicle phase. So this is called as the suspension. So here we have suspended the solid drug into the vehicle. So this is the called as the, you can say, suspension. So this is the, you can say, difference between the these three dosage forms like solution, suspension and emulsion. In solution, your drug is completely soluble into the vehicle. In emulsion, both phases are mixed with each other, but they are not miscible with each other. We are just mixing them, but they are not forming the single phase. There will be always separation of that both phases will occur. Then another in the suspension. In the suspension, we are administering the insoluble drug into the vehicle. That is called as the suspension. Then examples of your liquid dosage forms or types of liquid dosage forms. So there are the syrups, otic preparation, collodion, nasal preparation, aromatic waters, elixirs, mouthwashes, tinctures, gargles, fluid extracts, antibacterial preparations, douches, liniment, enema. So these are the we can say today's liquid dosage forms we are utilizing into the treatment purpose. Now we'll see one by one. There are some familiar liquid dosage forms nowadays also we are utilizing. The one example of that liquid dosage form is the syrups. So syrup is the example of monophasic preparation. Syrups are administered orally, and syrups are prepared by dissolving the large concentration of sugar into the water. So this is called as the syrup. So definition of syrup is that syrups are concentrated aqueous preparation of sugar in the water. Generally 66.7% solution of sugar is called as syrup. So for that purpose we have to dissolve 66.7 grams of sugar in water, and we have to make it up to the 100 ml. So that type of preparation is called as the syrup. So this is the sugar solution in on a simple way we can say. So there are the two types of syrups. One is the medicated syrup and flavored syrup. When we are preparing the simple syrup and we are adding any kind of drug, then it is called as the, we can say, medicated syrup. And suppose we are just preparing the syrup, just you are dissolving the sugar and into the water, and you are preparing the solution, and you are adding any kind of flavoring agent, then that will be called as the flavored syrup. So these are the two types of syrup, medicated and non-medicated, or it is also called as the flavored type of syrup. Then this kind of syrup we can utilize for the any kind of liquid dosage form purpose. So sometimes your medicated syrups are there, means directly you are adding the drug into the prepared syrup, and then same preparation we can administer through the oral cavity. Suppose instead of that you have just prepared the simple sugar solution and you have added any kind of flavoring agent. So such kind of flavoring syrups can be utilized for further dosage forms for any kind of dilution purpose. So it can be utilized as a vehicle for any type of other preparation. Then advantages of syrups or advantages of that sugar solution. First thing is that sugar syrup is naturally, so we can say, automatic sweet in taste because we are dissolving sugar into the water. That's why it is having the sweet taste. That's why no need of administration of any kind of other sweetening agent. Then such kind of syrups which are prepared by dissolving the 66.7% sugar, then it is having the proper viscosity. So they will have the little bit viscosity than the normal water. So that's why they are having the thickness, because we are administering the 66.7 gram of sugar in 100 ml. So this concentration will give the, we can say, proper thickness or the viscosity to that preparation. So if you are administering any other drug, and then you can prepare this cup syrup also. So because of that proper viscosity, it is quite easy to handle that preparation. If you think that there is no any viscosity, any preparation, for example water, if you are taking, just you are trying to measure the water or handling that water, then suppose you have filled your water, plain water, into the bottle, and you are trying to measure the quantity of that water, then it's quite difficult. But instead of that water, suppose you are measuring the quantity of oil, routinely you are using the hair oil, so it is quite easy to measure the little bit amount of that oil because it is having the proper viscosity. So due to that viscosity, it is quite very easy to handle the your liquid dosage forms or the liquid products. If the viscosity is less, then uh, pilferages may occur, or the wastage of that material may occur. It may fall down because of the less viscosity. So this kind of syrups are having the appropriate viscosity that will impart the uh, easiness to the handling of that preparation, or ease of handling is there because of the viscosity. Then in the syrups, no need of alcohol is required, as well as the syrups can be utilized for the child preparations purpose. Another thing is that this syrup is having the itself antimicrobial activity. So the concentration of 66.7% of that sugar will prepare the osmotic pressure in that preparation, That's why there is no development of microorganism will occur. So no need to add the preservative agent or the any kind of microbial agent is not required when we are using the sugar solution as a vehicle and you are adding any drug. Then in that preparation, no need of preservative agents, no need of any sweetening agent because sugar itself is having the sweet taste as well as your sugar in the concentration of 66.7% will exert the osmotic pressure. That's why it will kill the microorganism. So you no need of utilization of antimicrobial agent or the preservative. So itself your sugar preparation is having the good stability. Then another preparation is the elixirs. So these are also type of, you can say, uh, monophasic preparation. Elixirs are clear, sweetened hydroalcoholic solution. These are intended for oral use and are usually flavored to enhance the palatability, usually less sweet than the syrups and less viscous. So elixirs are prepared by taking your drug as well as water and alcohol. So suppose we are mixing the some amount of alcohol into the water, then it is called as the hydroalcoholic solution or the elixir. So such kind of preparation also we are preparing, and we can add the any kind of drug into also. So it is called as the medicated elixir. Suppose we are not adding the drug means it is called as the non-medicated elixirs. So these elixirs can be utilized as a vehicles. Then advantages of elixirs, they are better able to maintain the both water soluble and alcohol soluble components in the solution. So it is containing the some proportion of alcohol and water. So here we can administer any kind of drug which is having the solubility in water as well as into the alcohol. Then elixir are more stable into the compared to the syrups or any other type of preparation because we are adding the alcohol and alcohol is the bacteriostatic in nature. Then it is easily prepared by the simple solution technique. So your syrups will require time to prepare because when we are adding the sugar, it will take too much time to dissolve that sugar. But in elixir, alcohol and your water both are miscible with each other. Simply you have to mix them. Easily it will be prepared. Then disadvantage of elixir is that they are having the less effective than the syrups in masking the taste of any bitter drug. Then in elixir it contains the alcohol, so that's why it can cause the problem or we have to utilize it very cautiously in case of the childs. Then another dosage form is the tinctures. So these are the liquid preparation produced prepared by macerating the prepared plant material in the mixture of alcohol and water. Simply we can say when we are extracting drugs with the help of water plus alcohol, then it is called as the tincture. Or extraction of any plant or extraction of any plant material like roots or rhizomes, then that extract we are extracting by using the water as well as the alcohol. So the preparation in which we have mixed that extract, that is called as the tincture. Simply suppose we are boiling your extracting your tea powder, okay, with the help of water. So in this way there are so many plants are available and that plants can be utilized for the treatment purpose, but the active constituent will be inside that plant. So we are taking the part of that plant in which your active constituent is there, like leaves are there or roots are there or flowers are there. Suppose we are keeping that part of plant into the water plus alcohol for the longer period, then automatically the active constituents from that plant will come into your alcohol or the water, and then after that we can throw out that plant and we can take out the active constituents in the your alcohol and water. So simply we can say it is the extract. So such kind of extracts are called as the tinctures. Then optic preparations are there. Optic preparations means those liquid dosage pumps which are utilized to treat for the treatment of the ear. So like ear drops are there, then nasal preparations are there, nasal drop. They are also monophasic liquid dosage pumps. Then suspension. Already we have seen the suspension. Suspension are called as the biophasic liquid dosage pumps contains the solid insoluble drug and they are administered either orally as well as they can applied externally also. Then emulsions are there. So this is the mixture of two liquids like oil plus water. So when we are administering liquid plus oil in one bottle, then there will be the existence of the two phase, oil phase and water phase. That is called as the emulsion. So they are, we can say, biophasic liquid dosage forms in which one liquid phase is incorporated into the another liquid phase. They are called as the emulsions. Emulsions are also having the two types. Suppose you have taken the small amount of oil and large amount of water, then you can see it is called as oil in water. And suppose you have taken the small amount of water and large amount of oil, then it will called as water in oil. So these are the, you can say, emulsions. Emulsion can be taken orally, emulsions can be applied externally on the skin, as well as they can be administered by the injections also in the intramuscular way. Then liniments are there. Liniments are also called as the embrocation. It is a medicated topical preparation for application to the skin. Liniments are similar viscosity to the lotions. So liniment and lotions are near to the same. Generally, liniments are applied on the skin by rubbing action. They are utilized to relieve the pain on your skin. Then infusions and decoctions are there. Infusion is a dilute solution of the readily soluble constituents of the crude drugs from. Generally, infusions are prepared by utilizing the your plant originated material like your leaf or roots, rhizomes or flowering tops. When we are macerating them with the help of solvent, as your extract, okay, only the method is different here. So that is, it is called as the infusion. Then this infusion is prepared just by using the boiling water. Suppose you have taken the boiled water and administered your drug and you have kept it for the particular period, then it is called as the infusion. After that, you can filter it. Then you can throw out your that added part of that drug because it is extracted by your solvent. Then decoction. Decoction is the extract of water soluble and heat stable constituents of the crude drug. Like we are taking the preparing the decoction of your tea powder. So here we require the continuous boiling. Means you have taken the water plus your crude drug or the crude powder of that material like tea powder, and you have to continuously boil it for the 30 minutes, and then after that we have to filter it and we can throw out your tea powder because it is exhausted one, and whatever the active constituents are present in the tea powder, that will reach into your water. So this is also one extract, but it is obtained by the decoction process. So here processes are different. That's why they are called as the infusion, decoction, maceration. Nowadays also we are using the decoctions as well as infusions of various plants. Then collodion is there. Collodion is a flammable syrupy solution of the pyroxylene ether and the alcohol. So these are applied on the skin and they are giving the protective layer on your skin. Then there are the so many, we can say, additives we are using into your preparation. So additives means excipients. So when we are preparing the liquid dosage form, your active constituents or the drug will be there, and after that, whatever the other ingredients we have to add, so they are called as the additives or the excipients. So they are required for the protection of your preparation. Suppose you are adding any kind of macro antimicrobial agent into your liquid preparation. So that antimicrobial agent is called as the excipients. But the use of that antimicrobial agent is essential. If you are not adding the microbial agent, antimicrobial ingredient means after some particular period, your preparation may develop the microbes and it may not be able to utilize. So that's why we have to add the antimicrobial agent to avoid the growth of microorganism. Then another purpose of addition of such your additives is that we have to make the stable preparation. So to give the more stability to your preparation, we need to add the such kind of excipients. When we are adding any kind of preservative, then it will preserve your preparation from the oxidation, from the microorganisms. So it will increase the stability of your product, like pH enhancer. Then another one is the to improve the organoleptic properties of your preparation. Suppose we have taken any bitter drug and it is dissolved into the water and you have prepared the solution. So this kind of solution cannot be accepted by your patients because it is bitter. So to impart the good taste or to avoid the or hide that bitterness, we have to add the sweetening agent. So this sweetening agent is nothing but your one excipients of your liquid dosage form. So when we are adding the excipients as a sweetening agent, then taste of your preparation will be changed or it will be become palatable, because the bitter taste was there due to that bitter drug. So that bitter taste can be hid or can be masked with the help of your sugar or the any kind of sweetening agents. So that's why also we need to add the your excipients into the liquid dosage form. Then to enlarge the total volume of your preparation also we have to add the liquid your excipients. Sometimes suppose you have added any drug and you have prepared any solution, and suppose the dose of the drug is very small, then it is quite difficult to measure the dose of the drug. That's why we have to make the dilutions with the help of diluents. Then it will be easy to handle the small dose of that drug. Then for maintaining the dose uniformity, also we have to add your additives. For example, suppose we have added the viscosity enhancer or the thickening agent into your liquid dosage form, then it will increase the viscosity of your preparation. So it will be very easy to measure the exact dose of that liquid when it is become little bit viscous. Suppose your preparation is not less, you are not viscous, and it is like your water, then it is quite to measure difficult to measure the exact dose of that liquid. So in simple way, we can say to give the protection to your product, to avoid the microbial growth, as well as to enhance the organoleptic properties of your preparations, we need to add the excipients. So this is the purpose of your additives to administer into the. Examples of additives are antimicrobial agents, buffering agent. Buffering agent is we added to adjust the pH or to resist the changes in the pH. Then flavoring agent, coloring agent, suspending agent, emulsifying agent, then stabilizing agent, diluents, and any others. So these are the examples of your all the ingredients. So in next lecture we'll see the your what are the inactive or non-active or additives or the excipients. So these are the materials are most time we are calling as a excipients or the inactive ingredients which are added into the dosage form to complete that dosage form, as well as to carry the drug or to carry the active ingredients at the site of action, as well as to give the protection to increase the outer elegance of your dosage form. Generally, your dosage form contain the both substance. They are called as active ingredient as well as the non-active ingredients. So these excipients helps for the dosage form, or these ingredients helps to the your drug to reach at the site of action. So by this way, when we are adding these excipients, we are increasing the age of administration of the drug. We are improving the dosing compliance of your drug. We are trying to maintain the consistency of your drug. We are trying to improve the viability of your drug, as well as we are improving the stability of your drug. So these are the so many utilizations or the uses of these excipients are there. Without excipients, we cannot prepare the your dosage form. So there are the so many ingredients we are adding into your dosage form are called as the diluting agents, disintegrating agents, binding agents, antimicrobial agents, as well as coloring agents, sweetening agent, flavoring agent, so on. So the main ingredient of your liquid dosage form is solvent or the co-solvents are also called as the vehicle. So for preparation of your liquid dosage form, your drug quantity will be very small, but for carrying that small quantity, we need to add the vehicle or the any kind of suitable solvent in which your drug is suitable. Sometimes we may need to dissolve your drug. Sometimes we may need to disperse your drug or incorporate your drug. So for that purpose, we need a suitable vehicle or the any kind of diluting agent or the solvent. So most of time we are using water as a vehicle or a solvent. Suppose you want to dissolve your drug, so your drug should be soluble in selected solvent. Most of time we are using water as well as alcohol as well as glycerin as well as any kind of aromatic type of water. So this water is the choice of solvent or choice of vehicle for the manufacturer because it is readily available, it is cheap one, it is not having any kind of particular taste, it is not have any kind of particular color, and it is not reactive in nature. So it is safe for the body. That's why it is the choice of solvent for the most of dosage form. And because of the abundant availability, so it is selected by the most of manufacturers for the preparation of the dosage form. But finally it is dependent on your drug which is suitable in that solvent. So there are several advantages of this water. That's why it is selected as a we can say vehicle for your liquid type of dosage forms. Apart from your water, there are other type of solvents are also there, like alcohol is there, then glycerin is there, then simple syrup is there, which is prepared by dissolving your sugar into the water. So some type there are some alcohol is there. So in the alcohol we can choose them as also vehicle. So advantages of alcohol is that alcohol is solubilizes most of drug because of its organic nature, as well as alcohol itself act as a preservative because it is having the antimicrobial action, as well as it is also readily available. Your alcohol is also miscible with your water, and it is readily absorbed through your gut wall or through the stomach. So these are the advantages of alcohol. And apart from alcohol, we can also use the any type of other some oils are there. We can choose them as a vehicle. Then suppose sometime your drug is not getting soluble properly into your selected vehicle like water. Then to get solubilization or dissolution purpose, we can add the any kind of co-solvent. Now what is mean by the co-solvent? So to increase the solubility of your drug in main solvent, first of all we used to dissolve your drug into the particular solvent, like suppose alcohol, ethanol is there. So first of all we have to dissolve in that solvent, and then that solution we will incorporate into the main vehicle. So here your alcohol is acting as a co-solvent. So many times we are using the so many vehicles as a co-solvent in most of dosage forms. Then another ingredients are there like dextrose is there, sorbitol is there. So they can be utilized as a solubilizers or the co-solvent to increase the solubility of your drug. Then buffering agents are there. Prior to go for the buffering agent, I would like to tell you the some disadvantages of water. When you are choosing the water as a solvent, the disadvantage is that your water can be deteriorated or water is prone for the microbiological attack because water is acting as a moisture for the microbes. So easily microbial growth can take place in water when it is chosen as a vehicle. So for that purpose, we need to add the any kind of antimicrobial agent. But in case of alcohol, it is acting as a itself bacteriostatic or the antiseptic or the antimicrobial agent. That's why preservative is not required into the alcohol. As well as in case of water, we are obtaining water from natural source. So most of time there might be chances that the high TDS will be there to that water, or we can say some impurities may be possible to get inside your water, and it may cause the problems with your drug. So that's why while choosing your water as a solvent, we have to use the distilled water. But in case of alcohol, such kind of problem is not there. Only pure molecules of alcohol are there. So incompatibility with the any other ingredients is not possible into the alcohol. Then in water, some ingredient or some drug may not have the solubility. So at that time, we have to choose the any kind of another solvent, or we have to change the your vehicle, or we have to add the any kind of co-solvent or the solubilizing agent. Then regarding the alcohol, alcohol is a you can say abundantly available material, but it is quite costly than the your water. Also, up to the particular extent or the particular percentage only we can use the alcohol. We cannot use the larger concentration of the alcohol because it can cause the sedation into the patients. So these are the advantages and disadvantages while utilizing your alcohol. Then next ingredient generally we have to add into the your liquid dosage form is the buffering agent. Now what is the use of buffering agent? So when we are using the buffering agent, when we require to maintain the pH of your solution, suppose you have fixed the pH of your solution, then up to the final utilization of that dosage form, we have to maintain the pH of that solution. So why the pH is necessary or why there is the requirement of pH? Because sometimes your drug solubility is depends on the pH. Suppose your drug is not getting solubilized at the particular pH, and you have adjusted pH of the dosage form, and then you have solubilized suppose your drug. It means at the particular pH, drug has solubilized into your vehicle, and you have prepared your solution. Now after some period, like after 2 months or 3 months, suppose pH is getting changed, then what will happen? The due to the changes in the pH, solubility of the drug will also get changed. Okay, suppose at the pH 5 you are solubilize your drug, and due to the changes in the pH has been changed and it is raised to the 7, and due to that your solubilized drug was came into the precipitation form. It means that solubility of the drug was affected because of the changes in the pH. Then what will happen? Previously you was prepared as a solution, but after some time you have found that due to changes in the pH, your drug was came again into the solid state. So its solubility has been changed. So such kind of problems is arised because of the changes in the pH. So that's why to avoid the changes in pH, we are adding the buffering agents. What these buffering agents are doing? These buffering agents will maintain the your required pH. They will not allow changes in the pH in that product. So when we have added the buffering agent at the last stage of that product, it will remain on the same pH. So by this way, if we are adding the buffering agent, we can avoid the changes in the pH. If the pH is not changed and it is maintained as per your requirement, then your product will be the stable at the last period or till the final utilization of that product by the ultimate user. As well as there are so many other problems also occur because of the changes in the pH. So that may be avoided by adding the such kind of buffering agent. So sometimes some excipients present in your dosage form may react with each other at the particular pH because it is chemical reaction. So if the pH is getting changed, such kind of reaction maybe also takes place in your product. Suppose such kind of chances are there, means we have to avoid the such kind of chemical reaction by maintaining the particular pH. Suppose at particular pH like 3 pH, your product is not having any kind of reaction, then we have to maintain that pH in that your product to avoid the such kind of reaction. If the sudden pH is getting changed, then that products will get react inside your product and they can form the another product or they can deteriorate your active ingredients like your drug. So such kind of problem suppose arise, it means that product will not be able to utilize or its pharmacological action also be lost. So to avoid the such kind of problems, we have to maintain the required pH of your product. So this pH can be maintained by utilizing your buffering agent. Then antimicrobial agents or the preservatives are required. So when we are preparing the your liquid dosage form, especially when there is the water as a vehicle, so there are the chances that microbial attack may be possible. When you are preparing the multiple dose time of type of preparations, like your oral cup syrup is there. So many times we are opening that bottle and you are measuring the dose and you are taking the dose. So whenever you are opening that bottle, it is exposing to the environmental condition, and that's why your microorganism can easily reach inside your bottle and they can cause the microbial growth. If the microbial growth is developed, means what will happen, that product maybe get deteriorated or that microorganisms can directly reach into your stomach while measuring the next dose or next time when you are utilizing that bottle. So by this way, any type of uh, harmful problems or the harmful reaction can be takes place inside your bottle, and your products or your drug may get attacked by that microorganisms. So finally we can say that product may not be able to utilize or that may be become wastage. So to avoid these things, we have to add the antimicrobial agents or they are called as the preservatives. So this kind of antimicrobial agent will always kill the microbes which are coming inside that product. So your product will be always safe from the such kind of microorganisms. So these are the, we can say, utilizations of your antimicrobial agents or the preservative. Then antioxidants. Now what is mean by antioxidation? Antioxidants. Antioxidants are those agents which can avoid the oxidation process of your product. So many times it is happens that when your product is exposes to the environmental oxygen, and that oxygen can cause the oxidation reaction in your product. So when the oxidation is takes place in the product, then generally your active ingredients like your any drug which you have added in your product will get deteriorated because of the oxidation process. Generally in oxidation, breakdown of your structure of your drug is takes place because of the oxidation. So when such kind of reaction is takes place in your product, it may cause the uh, instability of your drug. It may cause the loss of pharmacological action of your drug. So anything can be happen because of the changes occur in the actual structure of your drug. So this is nothing but we can say your product may not be utilized, or it may not have the ability to produce the desired effect in your body. So by this way, if the oxidation is takes place, then we have to take care that oxidation should not be happen. So for that purpose, we are adding the anti-oxidating agents which can prevent the oxidation reaction. So for the avoiding that oxidation process, we are adding the antioxidants. So this is the also important ingredient of your liquid dosage forms. Then wetting agents. Now what is the mean by wetting agent? Suppose you are preparing the any kind of suspension. In the suspension, what we are doing, we are preparing suspension by adding the insoluble drug into the your liquid vehicle. So many times it is happens that the insoluble drug will not come inside your solvent. It is remain float on the top. So it is because it is not having the proper wetting property. So it is not accepting that solvent. That's why it is remaining float on the top. So it is not wetting, or it is not taking the, we can say, that fluid like vehicle. So to improve the wetting property of your drug, generally we have to add the wetting agents. So what the wetting agents are doing, when we are preparing any suspension or vehicle you have prepared and you are trying to add any kind of insoluble drug into that vehicle, but it is remaining on top, it is not going it is not going inside your vehicle. So it is due to the, we can say, surface tension between the your drug product or the drug particles and your vehicle. So these wetting agents are called as also surface acting agents, or the your soaps are there. So these surface acting agents or the wetting agents, what they will do, they will reduce the surface tension between your drug product or the drug particle and your vehicle. And that's why, due to the reduction of that surface tension, your drug particles will easily get wetted by your liquid, and they will reach inside your vehicle, and they will remain inside your vehicle. So by this way, we can prepare the suspension by utilizing your wetting agents. So there are so many examples of these wetting agents like twin, span, then sodium lauryl sulfate. So these are the examples of that wetting agents we can utilize for the uh, making your product as a wetting. Then anti-foaming agents are there. Now anti-foaming agents means, as the name indicate, foam. When the foam is produces, that foam may cause the disturbance in the your preparation. So to avoid the formation of foam, we are using the anti-foaming agents. When we are preparing most time your emulsions, so while preparing your emulsions, foam may be developed, because in the emulsion we are adding the emulsifying agent or the surface acting agent. So because of that, foam may produce, and foam may cause the disturbance in the accurate measurement of the dose. So due to that foam, it is not possible to observe the exact level of that liquid. So that's why this foam can cause the disturbance. So to avoid the such kind of foam, we have to use the anti-foaming agents. When we are preparing at the large at the larger quantity in the industry, there will be the very bigger jars. So in that bigger jars or in the tank, we are mixing your liquids. So while mixing, due to the entrapment of the air, foam may get produced, and this foam will cause a disturbance in measurement, as well as the in the transmission of your liquid from larger container to the smaller container. So to avoid the such kind of disturbance, foam should not be produced. So to avoid the formation of foam, we are using the anti-foaming agent. Then thickening agents or the viscosity enhancing agents. So what are the thickening agents and why they are added? Generally, when we are preparing the liquid dosage forms, at the time of utilization, we have to measure the dose of that liquid by taking that liquid from bottle into the your measuring pot or the measuring cylinder. Suppose your preparation is not having the any kind of viscosity and it is like a your water, then it is quite difficult to pour the your preparation from the your bottle into the measuring cup or the measuring cylinder. So to to get the easiness or for the ease of transmission from bottle to the your cup, that liquid should have the viscosity. If the liquid is viscous, then it is quite easy to pour exact dose of that material from the bottle into the your measuring cylinder. So example I have given last time, that you are daily using the your hair oil. So very little bit amount of that hair oil we require from that bottle. So it is very easy to pour that small amount of hair oil onto your palm. So it is why it is easy, because that hair oil is having the particular viscosity or the thickness. That's why you are easily measuring or easily pouring that hair oil on your palm. So it is due to the that viscosity. So in the same way, for the ease of administration of this liquid dosage form, especially for the oral type of liquid dosage forms, we have to maintain the proper thickness. Then another thing is that if you are preparing the suspensions, so there are in market there are so many paracetamol suspension for the childs. In the suspension, we are administering the or we are adding the your insoluble drug into the vehicle, and we are preparing the suspension. So at the time of taking the dose, what will happen? Your drug will be settled at the bottom of that liquid. So for that purpose, we have to shake that suspension. And then after that shaking, your drug will be distributed inside your total vehicle, and then you are going to measure the dose of that liquid. Now, if you are very slowly pouring that suspension into the vehicle, then what will happen? So, so many particles of the drug will get settled at the bottom very fast if your preparation is not having the viscosity. So, the problem of that property is that you will not get the appropriate amount of the drug into your measuring cylinder. You will get only the vehicle. Most of drug will settle at the bottom immediately, even though suppose you are shaking that preparation. So to avoid the such kind of settlement of that product or settlement of that particles, drug particles, suppose we have increased the viscosity of that vehicle, then what will happen? After the shaking of that suspension, more time will require to settle that particles at the bottom because of the viscosity of that vehicle. If the viscosity is increased, then it will resist the sedimentation of that particles. So that's why once suppose you have shaked your bottle and you are measuring your suspension, then you will get the appropriate quantity of that all the ingredient present in that bottle. Otherwise, if the viscosity is not there, means at the normal viscosity of that preparation, what will happen? Most of drug particle will settle at the bottom while measurement of your dose of that suspension. So patient will not get the appropriate dose of the drug, and he will receive only the your vehicle itself. So he will not get the desired effect of that material. Then what is mean by the sweetening agents, or what is the use of sweetening agent? Sweetening agents are producing the sweet taste to your product. So there are the so many sweetening agents we can use into your product to make the sweet products. Especially for the child purpose, we have to make the drug sweet, as well as when your drug is having the bitter taste, inherent bitter taste is there. So many drugs are available in market, so they are having the bitter taste. So because of that bitterness, you may not, we can say, able to consume your product because of that bitterness. So to reduce that bitterness, we are using the sweetening agents. So by this way, we can enhance the palatability of your bitter drug. There are so many sweetening agents like sugar is there, sucrose is there, as well as glucose is there, mannitol is there, then aspartame is there. Then flavoring agents. Now, what is the utilization of flavoring agents? When your drug is not having the acceptable flavor or it is not having the good taste, so to enhance the acceptability of that preparation, we are adding the flavoring agents. So there are so many flavoring agents are there, like oils, lemon oil is there, peppermint oil is there, then butterscotch is there, tutti frutti flavor is there. So many flavors are available nowadays. We can prepare them from the your some so many juices are there from the fruits. We are using that fruits and we are preparing the such so many flavoring extracts, and that extract we are adding into your preparation for making the palatability of your product. So because of that flavoring agent and sweetening agent, your product will be easily taken by your patient. So it will avoid the bad taste of your product. It will avoid the bad smell of your product. So by this way, we can increase the palatability of your preparation. Then humectants. Now, what is mean by the humectant? Humectants are those agents which can maintain the required concentration of water in your product. So, just take the example of your suppose paste is there. Daily, you are opening your paste for the brushing purpose. Suppose the water concentration is removed or the water is removed from your paste, then what will happen? It can become very much hard. So you cannot able to take that paste again because it is become hard. Suppose such kind of preparation you are preparing where your water concentration is required for the last up to the last stage of that product, then to maintain the required water concentration, we used to add the humectants. So these humectants generally absorb the moisture from the environment and they will try to maintain the required concentration of moisture or the water in your product. So that's why they are added into your material. Generally, these humectants will prevent the dryness of your product and they will maintain the required concentration of your water into your product. Examples are polyethylene glycol, propylene glycol, glycerol. Generally, in the paste, they are must for the maintaining your required, we can say required concentration of water. Otherwise, you cannot use your paste after the 8 days or the 10 days if the humectant is not added. So these are your various kind of excipients we are adding into your product. Apart from so many other ingredients are also there as per the time we require to add them. For example, emulsifying agents are there which are added into the emulsion. Then suspending agents are there which are added into the suspension, as well as any kind of particular agent is also added depending on your requirement of that product. So these are the we can say raw material specification, especially in the your industry. When your dosage form we want to prepare, first of all raw material is selected. Then from that raw material we used to take the some samples for the testing of that raw material, whether that raw material is having the we can say good quality or not. In the quality control lab, that products will be tested for their good property. If the that test is says that your raw material is having the good quality, then that material will be utilized for the further preparation purpose. If the quality control test says that whatever the raw material you have chosen, some raw material is not having the good quality, then such kind of product will not be accepted for the your preparation of product purpose. So that will be rejected. Then suppose your product having the good quality, then it will be chosen for the preparation of your product. So raw materials are very much important parameter or the you can say excipients are also coming into the raw materials category. Your drug is also coming into the raw material category. This is the we can say layout of liquid manufacturing dosage forms. First of all, in the liquid dosage form, whatever the required containers are there, they will be washed, like bottles will be there, your containers caps will be there. So they will be washed, and after that they will be filled by your container preparation. So preparation is already ready. So that preparation will be filled into your bottles. Then after that labeling will be done. So in the labeling, whatever the material information is required, so that will be printed on already on your label, and that label paper will be sticked. Then after labeling, packaging of that liquid dosage form will be done in the bigger cartons. Then it will be kept for the storage area after the finishing. Then here, for the preparation of your liquid dosage form, first of all you have to take your raw material, which is tested by your quality control lab, as well as excipients and your drug will be collected at the one place. Another place, your solvent and vehicle will be collected. Then after that, preparation area will be there, where your product will be prepared. Suppose you want to prepare the solution, then your all the raw material like ingredient, drug, and your solvent will be taken, and your material will be dissolved into your solvent, and then that preparation will be stored in bigger jar. That storage area will called as the semi finished store. So in the semi finished store, you will keep your prepared solution, and from that area it will be transmitted into the filling area, where that solution will be filled inside the water. So this is the layout of your liquid manufacturing